Have you ever noticed that life feels very different when you feel that you are carrying everything alone? When you feel alone, everything is heavier, everything is harder. The burden just seems so much larger to carry. You feel unsupported. You feel like you have to dredge through the mud of life. And every setback feels frightening. But when you have faith in something larger than yourself, when you feel that you're being supported, carried in some way, that something is protecting you, it becomes true in a sense, because whatever we believe is truth. And life doesn't necessarily always become easier, but it does feel safer. It does feel like there's a sense to things, that things are happening for a reason. It feels softer, less lonely, and less overwhelming. Today, I want to talk about faith, why having faith matters, and how it can completely change your life. So just a quick note before we start. In this video and other videos that I make, I often use words like spirit, higher self, the universe, God, right? But we are all from different backgrounds. We all have different religions, different faiths. And I have absolutely no judgment. Whatever you believe is what you believe. And I believe that every human being has the right to do so, right? So feel free to substitute whatever word feels safest and most authentic to you. As I talk, if I say higher self and you want it to be God, use the word God. Absolutely no problem. The message remains the same. So many people kind of believe that faith is believing that everything will go exactly the way you want it to 100% of the time. But that's not really what faith is. Faith isn't believing that you will get the exact outcome that you desire. Faith is just believing that you will be supported and that you will have what you need when you need it. Faith is a quiet knowing that life is unfolding in a way that we can't always see. Faith is trusting that even when we don't understand the path, there is still a path. And most importantly, faith is trusting that we are not alone. So since I was really, really young, I knew that I was being held by something. I had faith that spirit was there, that I was being guided, right? That I was being held, and that spirit or that universe or that God, whatever word you want to use, would never let me fall. It would never drop me. That in some way, my life made sense, even though I didn't understand my life, just purely by the fact that I felt like something was there, that I was being held, that I wasn't alone. And the sole belief that has brought me the greatest comfort is knowing or believing that I am not separate from the divine, that we are simply expressions of it, small pieces of something infinitely larger. And I see it kind of like the ocean being God, spirit, source. And we are all one little drop from the ocean. Does that make that drop separate to the ocean? If I take that drop out of the ocean, yes, it is in a sense separate. But if I put that drop back in the ocean, what happens? It's part of the ocean. The trees, the stars, the ocean, the sky, the animals that surround us, the earth beneath our feet, the breath moving through our bodies, all of it comes from the same source. Everything is made from the same life source, the same creative energy, the same intelligence. And we are not disconnected from that. We are part of it. We are living human experiences, but our souls are connected to something far greater than our own individual identities. And when we remember that, it becomes so much easier to trust. So let's talk about fear. And this is why faith changes everything. Because when we believe that we are alone, fear takes over. Fear, debilitating, breaking fear. Fear that stops us from moving forward. fear that stops us from achieving, fear that breaks us, that makes us into small little versions of ourselves when we could be so much greater, achieving so much more. When we don't have faith, we believe that every outcome is dependent on us, our choices, and our actions. And that means that we carry enormous pressure. We try to control everything. We worry endlessly. But faith creates space. It reminds us that we are supported, that we are not alone, that life is actually working for us and with us, that we don't have to force open every single door that we want to walk through alone. And this doesn't mean that we stop taking action. This means that we start to create our lives in collaboration with the universe. It means that we can stop carrying the weight of the universe on our shoulders alone. Now, support doesn't always look the way that we expect it to. Let's be honest, as human beings, we tend to plan our lives out. We say, okay, I want to manifest this, and I want that, and I want my life to look like this. And we have a full plan set in place and a full vision for what that's going to look like. And then when it doesn't happen, we're immensely disappointed. And I think this is where many people struggle. We often decide that we know how support should actually look and how it should arrive. And we think things like, well, if I'm supported, I'm going to win the lottery. If I'm supported, I'm going to get a Ferrari tomorrow. If I'm supported, I'm going to go from floor cleaner to CEO in 1 week. If I'm supported, I'm going to get exactly what I want when I want it. If I'm supported, everything's going to go according to my plan. But life rarely works that way. Sometimes support arrives in really unexpected ways. You might need money, and suddenly an opportunity arrives. You may need help and meet exactly the right person that's willing to help you. You may need resources, and someone appears that has those resources and is willing to share them with you. You might want to start a business, and instead of receiving a large sum of money, you meet someone who helps you with practical advice, someone who offers you an office space for really cheap, someone who offers you a printer or office supplies, someone who offers you something that you might need in your particular niche that they're not using anymore and they're willing to part with it. The support still arrives. It just doesn't look like what you imagined it to. It doesn't arrive in the package that we expected it to. And here's the thing, faith and action work together. You are constructing your future with the universe. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about faith is that people think that if they have faith, they can just sit back and do nothing and that everything will just fall out of the sky. But that's simply not how it works. If you don't ask for something, if you don't talk about what you want, if you don't put an action plan in place, things don't happen. And for me, I'll say personally, at times I've put action plans in place and I've done all the things that I need to do to get it rolling. And the end result looks nothing like what my previous plan looked like. Because as I put that action plan into place and rolled with it, right, as I started putting things out into the universe and starting to make things happen, the universe comes along, intercepts me and says, no, this is not the right direction. Here you go, let's shift. And up I go on that path. And oh no, let's shift. And when I get to the end and I look back, I go, wow, this is actually so much more aligned with me than what I thought was aligned. So faith is not passive. Faith and action are very close partners. You still need to take the steps. You still need to make the plan. You still need to make that phone call. You still need to ask for help. You still need to apply for the job or start that business. You still need to show up for your life. Faith simply changes the energy behind those actions. Instead of acting from a place of fear, desperation, and panic, you're acting from a place of trust. You meet life halfway, and you allow life to meet you there. So what is the difference between fear and faith? Fear asks, what if everything goes wrong? Faith asks, what if I'm supported? Fear asks, what if I fail? Faith asks, what if this is leading me somewhere better than I can actually see now? Fear focuses on problems. Faith focuses on possibilities. And while it's part of the human makeup to experience fear, we choose which voice we want to strengthen, that of fear or that of faith. So how do you cultivate more faith? Take a moment to reflect on your life. How many times have you been supported? How many times did things work out when you previously hadn't predicted it to work out that way? How many times did help arrive unexpectedly? The evidence is often already there. So just to reinforce this point, I'll tell you a little story. So when I was about 23 years old, I fell pregnant with my first daughter. And my husband and I knew that we needed to move out of the flat that we were living in. We wanted to have a little garden and a small little house on the ground floor. And so we actively started looking for a home. And at that point, we didn't really have a lot of money. We had a very strict budget on how much we were able to spend on rent. And we were struggling to find a place. And we found this beautiful little ground floor townhouse kind of deal that had 2 bedrooms and a little kitchen and a nice big backyard. And I fell in love. I fell in love with it. It was in this little closed, safe complex and very family oriented. It had a little closed gate and about 10 houses in this little complex. And I was just dreaming of our little one being able to play outside and have this beautiful beginning of life there. And we applied for the place and our application got rejected. And I cried. I cried and I cried and I cried. And I said, why me? I had faith that the universe would give this to me. And I kid you not even 2 weeks later, in exactly the same complex, the house just across the road from the one that we had applied for became available. The rent was slightly cheaper. It not only had a backyard, but it also had a pool. And it had 2 bedrooms like the one across the road, but they had also built on a separate little veranda kind of section by the pool, which was really lovely, and that I ended up spending a lot of time in. And we got the place. We got the place, and we were just over the moon. And I vowed that day that I would never, ever, ever again doubt that the universe had my best interests at heart. And that when I put a plan in place, if it doesn't work out, that I would accept that and I would keep my faith alive because the universe is going to bring me something better. And since that moment, I have never doubted and everything has always worked out. I have faith that the universe will always bring me something better than what I can plan for. In unexpected ways, in the most beautiful ways. And that's the most beautiful thing. As humans, we just don't have the capacity to think out of the box in that way. The universe does. And life can surprise you if you just have a little bit of faith. So this is what you can start doing today. Start noticing small miracles. Faith isn't built through only dramatic experiences. It's built through noticing the small things. An aligned conversation, a coincidence that works out in your favor, a moment of guidance, a door opening, a miraculous solution appearing. The more we notice support, the more supported we feel. So practice trust daily. And whenever you feel yourself spiraling into fear, ask yourself, how would this feeling of fear change if I just had faith? Not blind faith, not denial, but trust. Trust that you can handle what comes. Trust that you are not alone. Trust that life is bigger than this moment. So faith is not about believing that life will go exactly your way. It's about believing that you'll be supported as you walk your path. It's about trusting that even though you cannot see the entire staircase, the next step will appear. It's about remembering that you are part of something that's so much greater than yourself. And the same force that created everything around you, the stars, the forests, the vast ocean, everything that is living and non-living, is also moving through you. You are not separate. You are not forgotten. And you are certainly not alone. And sometimes simply remembering that is enough to change everything. So I'd love to hear your experience, as I absolutely love hearing people's stories. So share your story. And if you need any more information, don't hesitate to drop me a message. I do read all of my messages and I do respond, even though sometimes it takes me a little while, seeing as sometimes there are quite a few of them. And if you like this video, then please like it, subscribe, and hit that notification button, as I'll be making more videos like this in the future. It was lovely spending this time with you, and I hope that you have a beautiful day.